World Cup continues right now.
We appreciate you being here online as things kick off for FIFA World Cup on the air. We have plenty of things to get into during our time here for our show today. We'll be on from 1 to 4 p.m. I'm your host, Anita Blanton, and let's talk a little bit about where we're going with things for this first hour that we have here together. So around 1:45 or so, we have so many kids that are, doing great things and sports throughout our area, throughout Chicagoland, and parents, for sure, you should be proud of the wonderful things that they're doing, but also very cognizant of any types of dangers that might exist when it comes to maybe an overzealous coach or even unsupervised time and the things that could happen there. And so we are speaking with a director of program and partnerships who is going to be talking to us, and this is Director of Program and Partnerships with We Ride Together, an organization, a nonprofit that has a mission of eliminating all forms of abuse in sports. They have, great experts who can speak to this. We want our kids to be great. We want our kids to go on to do phenomenal things. And for sure, as a former youth athlete myself, I think that the power of sports is something to behold, but also being cognizant of some of the pitfalls, unfortunately, that lead to physical, mental, emotional, and yes, even sexual abuse we have to talk about as well. And so we're going to talk with, again, the Program and Partnerships Director for We Ride Together around 1:45 about that very important topic. Also around 1:30, we anticipate a conversation about lead pipe replacement, this major project for the city of Chicago. When I say major, I mean the price tag here is pretty astounding, but there are over 400,000 lead water service lines in our area that need to be replaced. 400,000 plus that need to be replaced. And so if you just do quick math on that, at about 31,000 a piece, we're sitting on billions. Somewhere in the neighborhood of $12 billion that has to go to cover this. And so we'll have the National Resources Defense Council speaking about this major project and the issues surrounding having lead pipes that are that old in our area, that they're coming at a cost of $31,000 a piece. So we'll talk about that somewhere around 1:30. We also do anticipate having a press conference, though, any minute now. And this is with the U.S. Attorney's Office, Andrew Boutros, the ATF Director, and other law enforcement agencies, as they're going to be talking about an anti-violence initiative here in the Northern District of Illinois. Again, it was scheduled for 1 p.m. I believe the setup has already begun, but the press conference itself hasn't started just yet. So let me just give you a little bit of information behind it, because we just got in more context as to what this is all about. And in fact, they are saying that this is a first of its kind initiative that they're going to be announcing here, announcing the results from Operation New Dawn. That's what it's been dubbed. 179 defendants charged in approximately 60 days as a part of this first of its kind spring and summer anti-violence initiative here in the Chicago area. And so they said it's never before done badgeless operation in Chicagoland in recognition of our nation's 250th birthday. They're going to have to walk through all of those connections there. But again, 179 individuals charged across 140 newly filed cases as a part of this, what they say is a massively successful operation here. Not quite sure, of the background when they say badgeless enforcement. Hopefully they'll explain that, but roughly 60 days that it took to get to the results that they're going to be talking more in detail about here today. They said that they set aside barriers, focused exclusively on disrupting violence in the Chicago and Rockford areas by arresting what they are saying the worst of the worst offenders. We have heard that description before, used for operations in our area. But just so you know, it says worst of the worst offenders who then face federal criminal prosecution. So it will be very interesting also to see what the list of charges are for some of these suspects that they got off the streets. You know, when you say the worst of the worst, you are expecting some pretty serious charges that could be connected to these 179 individuals that they rounded up in the last 60 days here. So they say that this has created this operation. New Dawn has created a shared accountability, unified, mission-minded operation here. And again, they're going to be talking in more detail. But they say that this new approach exceeded all of their expectations. They started around May 1st. We're now, July 2nd. I had to check that for a moment. I'm like, what? Which day are we on? July 2nd now. So they started on May 1st, and my goodness, 305 fugitives were apprehended, brought into custody, and they say, this is coming from Attorney Boutros' office here, that many had previously been charged with serious criminal offenses, as we were saying there, if you are calling them the worst of the worst, serious criminal offenses. 24 children, many of whom were kidnapped, were located and safely returned home during this operation. Again, this is all coming out, and it is pretty extensive here. Before we even get into the press conference, they just sent out a press release, so I'm just kind of trying to scroll through it as I talk to you here before their press conference begins here. But it says, this is just a statement from Attorney Boutros. It is my view that to combat violence, federal law enforcement must move at the speed of violence. The remarkable success of Operation New Dawn resoundingly proves that point. Chicago's federal anti-violence apparatus united under one banner, the United States flag, and not the shield, badge, banner, or logo of any agency. So that might be what they were saying in terms of a badgeless operation. To make their presence felt on the streets of Chicago and make it known that they are a force to be reckoned with in the battle against violence. As the new name New Dawn embodies, it is the dawn of a new federal law enforcement era when it comes to combating violent crime in the Northern District of Illinois and being responsive to the people of the district who want to be safe. During Operation New Dawn, federal law enforcement engaged in rapid, targeted, and responsive interventions that interrupted violence in real time. Our law enforcement goal was singular: to tackle the scourge of violence that has gripped this incredible American city for too long. Now, again, this press release that they just sent out is extensive, and I'm not going to read the entire thing to you because we are gearing up for a press conference where they're going to go into more detail. But when you talk about violence in the area here in Chicagoland, there are a few things that really come to mind just in the past few days. One, some major proof of the operation, in terms of large-scale operations or, raids that have happened in our area recently that I'm sure will go into this 179 people that were rounded up as a part of this over the last 60 days. But then also some of the just really disturbing things we have seen that have led up to this moment. The press conference is beginning, so let's go ahead and listen in. Okay, we're having some audio technicalities here. We will get right back there just as soon as possible. Again, the press conference now beginning with Attorney Andrew Boutros. Hopefully, he is just maybe going through at the top of this press conference who is going to be speaking. And as we can see, that will include the ATF Director, Robert Cicada, and several other law enforcement officials that will be a part of this. The director of the U.S. Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives will be speaking as well. And again, as I was saying, they are going over this, what they say is a first of its kind anti-violence initiative in the Northern District of Illinois, as we are waiting on the audio to be released here. We have had some major issues over the last just couple of days even. When they talk about removing the scourge of violence from our area, we had 2 people killed, 2 critically hurt in a Southside mass shooting overnight. So they're talking about 179 people that they call the worst of the worst that were rounded up over the last 60 days. But just overnight, we had 2 people killed in this mass shooting in Auburn Gresham. 4 people who were shot after a group of gunmen opened fire at a gas station. Several other shootings, domestic-related stabbing also that happened overnight. There's a lot that's been going on. I think we have our audio back, so let's go back to this press conference.
I have worked day and night, literally, and weekends and holidays, literally, to keep the citizens of Northern Illinois safe. And I will say that many in my office and across the Chicago federal law enforcement apparatus are also tirelessly working to do the same. 60 days ago, I assembled Chicago's entire federal anti-violence apparatus and asked them to focus on a single mission: to set aside the barriers and disrupt violence in the Chicago and Rockford areas by arresting the worst of the worst offenders who would then face federal criminal prosecution. I called this unprecedented anti-violence initiative Operation New Dawn. When I constructed Operation New Dawn, I created an innovative federal law enforcement approach to fighting violent crime that had not been done before here in Chicago. 11 federal agencies worked arm in arm as one cohesive, unified group to arrest dangerous criminals responsible for some of the most serious offenses, including robberies, kidnappings leading to death, firearms trafficking, firearm offenses, drug trafficking, immigration violations, child exploitations, and various other federal violent crimes. Importantly, I made the operation badgeless, meaning that multiple federal agencies would come together under the banner of the United States flag, as opposed to the shield or the badge or the banner or logo of any agency. To our knowledge, this has never been done before in the Northern District of Illinois, and making the operation badgeless created shared accountability and unified mission-minded anti-violence work starting in the spring and continuing into the summer in special recognition of our great nation's 250th birthday, which we will all celebrate this weekend. To put it mildly, the results of Operation New Dawn have been massively successful. 179 individuals were federally charged across 140 newly filed criminal cases. An additional 305 fugitives were apprehended and brought into custody, many of whom had previously been charged with serious federal offenses. 24 children, many of whom were kidnapped, were located by federal law enforcement and safely returned home. When you add up all these numbers, that's almost 500 violent, dangerous criminals taken off the streets of Chicagoland in roughly 60 days, plus 24 kids brought back home. And that's not even including all the guns, all the drugs, and all the other instruments of crimes that our law enforcement partners seized as part of the operation. And again, we did all of this in 60 days, which is truly incredible and something that all of us are very proud about. At the heart of Operation New Dawn is my firm belief that to combat violence, federal law enforcement must move at the speed of violence. The remarkable success of Operation New Dawn it resoundingly proves that point. As the name New Dawn embodies, it is the dawn of a new federal law enforcement era when it comes to combating violent crime in the Northern District of Illinois. And it's also a new era for truly being responsible to the people of the Northern District who want to be safe and feel safe as they should. After all, this is America. During Operation New Dawn, federal law enforcement engaged in rapid, targeted, and responsive interventions that interrupted violence in real time. Our law enforcement goal was singular: tackle the scourge of violence that has gripped the Chicago and Rockford areas for too long. This was a unique and different approach, and I'm very proud to report that it worked, and that it worked very, very well. What you see on the stage today is courage, bravery, and leadership. We still have a lot more work to do, but no doubt the partners on this stage, along with the many others who tackle other program areas such as fraud, cybercrime, national security, among many others, are working closely with me to serve the people of the Northern District of Illinois in a way that has not been done or seen in a very long time. So far this year, working with the AUSAs in my office and the leaders on this stage along with their various teams, we have increased violent crime charges by 64% compared to 2024 when I was not in office. Comparing year-to-date statistics for 2026 versus 2024 in specific anti-violence program areas, we increased firearm charges by 154%. Project Safe Neighborhood cases, which are a form of gun cases, by 78%. Sex crime prosecutions by 50%. Narcotics prosecutions by 24%. Criminal immigration cases by almost 300%. And if we continue the pace that we're on with our Chicago Crime Gun Intelligence Center cases, our CJIC cases, our numbers will be up 450% compared to prior years. Operation New Dawn is representative of all the great work that the Chicago U.S. Attorney's Office and our federal law enforcement partners are doing to bring down violent crime and keep people safe. No distractions, no noise, no nonsense, no spin, no subterfuge, no treachery, no reckless reporting can take away from our results, from the incredible work that we are doing for the people in the unity of the federal apparatus that exists in Chicago, only a small cross-section of which you see on this stage here today. In fact, 52 days ago, the Northern District of Illinois was first in the country when I assembled 43 federal agency heads that operate in Chicagoland, along with 10 U.S. attorneys from the region and even beyond, for what became the largest contingency of federal law enforcement agencies ever gathered outside of Washington, D.C. That event, which I dubbed Davos in Chicago, was notable for its scale and the high level of federal agency head participation, drawing comparisons to the traditional World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, every year. Davos in Chicago was once again an example of the Chicago U.S. Attorney's Office innovating and leading from the front under my leadership. Indeed, our Davos was so successful that other districts and regions all across the country are now following in our footsteps and putting together their own version of Davos in Chicago. I want to personally thank all the special agents in charge and other law enforcement agency heads for their exceptional and strong partnership in this whole of federal law enforcement operation. The leadership, resources, and energy that they brought to Operation New Dawn was truly outstanding. Those thanks are extended to Christopher Ammon, my great partner of ATF, Todd Smith of DEA, Doug De Podesta of the FBI, Matthew Scarpino of Homeland Security Investigations, Diego Grimaldo of the Great Lakes Regional Fugitive Task Force, Marta Gravala of IRS Criminal Investigation, Arturo Hernandez of NCIS, Marshal LaDon Reynolds of the U.S. Marshal Service, Nick Buccarelli of the U.S. Postal Inspection Service, and Mario Pinto of the Department of Health and Human Services, Office of Inspector General. The Chicago Police Department, and especially Superintendent Larry Snelling, also provided sustained support and assistance throughout Operation New Dawn. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say that we'll miss Superintendent Snelling and his strong support of federal law enforcement here in Chicago. I couldn't be prouder of the work of these law enforcement partners as well as our federal prosecutors, many of whom I personally hired over the last year plus and who came together and embraced Operation New Dawn. This 4th of July weekend, as we celebrate the 250th birthday of the greatest nation on earth, many families in the Chicago area will celebrate with loved ones because the whole of federal government in Chicago is taking violent crime seriously in a way that just hasn't been seen in years. The result is that the scourge of violence that has gripped Chicago for too long is beginning to see relief. It is now my pleasure and honor to introduce the Director of ATF, Robert Cicada. At the conclusion of Director Cicada's remarks, I will take a few questions, which hopefully will remain on topic. Director.
Good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Robert Cicada. I'm the Director of ATF. I stand here not only to represent my agency, but I'm here to represent all of our partners that U.S. Attorney Boutros just described to you. ATF and our partners are joined at the hip at the Homeland Security Task Force. This is a whole-of-government approach that we've taken not only in the city of Chicago, but Chicago, I think, is one of the biggest and shiniest examples that we can use of success when the government works together to use all of the expertise that each of us brings to the table to reduce violent crime in our cities across the United States. Yes, we are seeing historic reductions of violent crime throughout the country, and we're all proud of that effort. But we also know we can't let up on the gas. We are continuing to conduct operations like this in Chicago and in many cities around the country to ensure that the citizens of our cities impacted by violent crime are not feeling unsafe when they leave their homes with their families for the upcoming summer. The Spring and Summer Initiative had that full intention. Remove the violent offenders on our streets that have been operating the way they have for years, emboldened by many years of not being held accountable for committing their violent crimes throughout this city and in many other cities in this country. We will continue this effort throughout the summer and throughout the rest of this year. We have ourselves, ATF specifically, has 10 surges that are going on around the United States in addition to DC Safe and Beautiful and the Memphis Safe Task Force, all with the same purpose. And in each of those cities, ATF is not fighting this fight on their own. We're doing it with our Homeland Security Task Force partners, which is every one of these great leaders standing next to me and the great agencies that they each represent. Every one of our folks are putting our lives out on the line every day to make this city safer. And we're honored to be here, and I'm honored to be part of this team and standing with you all on either side of me. We couldn't do it alone, and we're here to fight this fight for you and to improve the conditions in this city over the summer. Thank you.
So I will take some questions, but I do have a request. An enormous amount of work went into this operation. An enormous amount. 179 defendants, over 140 cases, 305 fugitives, 24 children returned home. Out of respect for the people who did this work, the federal prosecutors and the agents and agencies who are represented here, I'd ask that you keep your comments focused on what we're here to talk about today, because God knows that the people of this district are interested very deeply on this topic. So let's see if you all can stay on cue and ask some questions about violence and the anti-violence work that we're doing. and who can respect that request. So I'll take some questions and let's get started. Yes, sir.
Sir, my name is Patrick Elwood. I'm with WGN TV. Can you take us inside the investigations here? Were these people already on your radar? Were they already under investigation? Were they wanted for bench warrants, et cetera?
So the fugitive cases are all fugitives who are out there, many oftentimes murderers, rapists, child molesters, and other people who have warrants, and those fugitives were taken off the streets by the great work of the U.S. Marshals and the Great Lakes Task Force. In terms of the other cases, when you do an operation of this size, it's a combination of everything. So we had cases that are new cases that we brought to bear based on incredible investigative work, undercover work, proactive work that was done. There were also other cases that were in the queue, including wires, or at least a very large wire that was taken down during the operation. So it's really a combination of different approaches, both reactive as well as proactive, to put this operation together.
Mr. Boutros, good afternoon. Michelle Gallardo with ABC7. Talk to us about the complexity of merging the efforts of 11 federal agencies into this operation. And also, I mean, Mr. Sakata referred to this efforts continuing, but does that mean the ATF, or is this Operation New Dawn now a permanent, ongoing effort?
So we literally just took down New Dawn yesterday. So everything is happening very quickly, and we've been working around the clock to put this together. We wanted to take it down before the 4th of July because there's a tradition in Chicago for a lot of the anti-violence work to be done before the 4th of July weekend, to send the message also to those who might want to break the law. This was an experiment. This was an experiment. Could we pull it off? What would it look like? Would it work? Would law enforcement, in fact, set aside their territorial battles to the extent that there have been over the years, their factionalism, and could they come together and actually do this? And what these results show is a resounding yes, and that's why I couldn't be more proud of these fine men and women who are here. So I think that this is going to be the beginning of what I believe will be a reoccurring phenomenon. It is something that I obviously want to discuss with my team and discuss with the leaders. And I also think that it's going to be exported to other districts and other places around the country because success breeds imitation, and that's the fondest form of flattery. And so we're very proud of what we've done here, and I would not be surprised if we see other districts say, you know, we can do that as well. So I don't want to say absolutely, but why wouldn't we want to repeat these incredible efforts when we take 500 violent people, or nearly 500 violent people, off the streets? And I got to tell you, to return 24 kids back home to their parents, if that doesn't make you feel good, I'm not sure what will make you feel good.
Terry Cashman, WBBM Radio. I was going to ask you about that. Can you give us a little more detail, a few more details about those 24 kids? Were those non-custodial cases, or anything else you can tell us about that?
That incredible work was really led by the Marshals, and they have a very proud tradition of working with state and local law enforcement to return children, both those who have been kidnapped as well as others that are which maybe are lost or can't be found. And so they put an enormous amount of resources, and it's a key area of their portfolio. But a certain number of those cases were kidnapped cases, and they brought the kids back home.
Can you talk a little bit more about that? Were they living under assumed identities? Like, how do they get into the system?
I mean, I don't know if those who are doing that want to get involved and speak to it specifically, but we can maybe get to those details at the end, okay? But that's really a very much a Marshal operation, and it was important to bring the Marshals in. The Marshals, for those who don't know, keep this courthouse safe. They keep the federal judges safe. They keep the U.S. Attorney's Office safe. They keep so many people safe. They do incredible work every day. And over the last year or so, we've seen some scary cases here in the federal courthouse. Some people know that there was a situation where someone brought in a bag and we thought it was a bomb potentially in there. And I swiftly brought charges, and we charged that case. We've had an incident where someone brought in a loaded firearm, a loaded gun with lots of different bullets, fully magazine, ready to go to federal court. Why was this person bringing this gun in? We've had cases in the federal courthouse, threats against, as everyone knows from the chief judge and from other judges, threats against federal law enforcement and against federal judges has exploded, and that we have a lot more of those cases. And the fine men and women of the U.S. Marshals and the deputy marshals do an incredible job keeping everybody safe and staying on top of that as the threat level goes up. And we're seeing a lot more threat levels. And so, but part of their other portfolio is kidnapping cases and children cases. So maybe we can get to that at the end.
In any of these cases that you mentioned, are any of them ones that maybe the U.S. Attorney's Office would traditionally let the Cook County State's Attorney deal with? Or were these all clear-cut federal investigations?
So we have a strong partner in State's Attorney Eileen O'Neill Burke. But we've got a problem with the Cook County judges. And more of you need to start reporting on that. Because what you see are people who are violent offenders, repeat violent offenders, that the Cook County judges decide to release on pretrial condition. And here's the trick that they pull. They'll detain them at the first initial appearance. And then on the second appearance, because that's when the numbers count. And then on the second appearance, they release them back into the streets and into the communities. And how many cases have the feds charged since I've been U.S. Attorney where there was a failure on the part of Cook County judges to detain people? Officer Bartholomew, which I wanted to charge, but Eileen charged, and we agreed Eileen should charge that case. Officer Bartholomew was murdered by someone who was a 5-time felon who was out. Why was he out? Why was he out? The case that I did charge, the terrorism case that I charged on mass transit, that's an individual who had over 100 arrests and was also on electronic monitoring. Why was he out? How many cases have we taken time and time again where, frankly, the Cook County judges fail the people of the Northern District of Illinois and fail to detain them? And so there are cases here where we have been much more leaning into those cases to take them because it seems to me, and in fact, they are very open and vocal about it. It's not like they're hiding it. You all may not want to report it, but they're very open and vocal about it. And Ben Bradley, if Ben Bradley is in this room, he did an incredible interview with the chief judge of Cook County where he said, why was this cop killer out on the loose? And the chief judge defended the conduct and said, we would do it again. So you should direct some questions over there to Cook County to find out why they're letting violent offenders out. It's not Eileen's fault. It's not the state's attorney's fault. The state's attorney is doing its job. But the Cook County judges are letting the people down.
You said no reckless reporting can take away from our...
We have been listening in to this press conference for the U.S. Attorney, Andrew Boutros, and the ATF Director, and several others, FBI, and many others who are there announcing the details of Operation New Dawn in our area. But I'm going to pick up where he left off, and he was pretty fired up there as he was asked a question about the relationship between his office, that is Andrew Boutros, U.S. Attorney Andrew Boutros, and the state's attorney's office. And he said, and this is in fighting crime overall, all of these different entities of fighting crime, and he was very candid in talking about the fact that he believes their relationship is great with State's Attorney Eileen O'Neill Burke, but that more questions should be asked of the Cook County judges who release people with pretrial release. This has been an ongoing blame game for that really goes back to the Safety Act. Quite honestly, that goes back to the Safety Act, and so he had some very candid comments about that I'm sure we'll be hearing again as the evening goes on. But overall, I gave you much of the information regarding Operation New Dawn, the 179 people in these 60 days that they have rounded up. Several fugitives that ultimately resulted in even about 24 children that were either kidnapped or in some form of capture that were returned back to their parents. He says that there's, and the ATF director also said there's still more work to do, but they wanted to be sure to release this information really to send a message ahead of the 4th of July. Memorial Day weekend, 4th of July weekend. We seem to see a tick up in violence, and they wanted to send a message that, that won't be tolerated, that they said that they are taking violent crime seriously. They are beginning to see some relief, want to continue in that direction, and that these are their words, years of people not being held accountable is going to stop. They also, I want to mention before we go to break here, took a moment to commend Chicago Police Department Superintendent Larry Snelling, as he just announced his retirement, and that will take effect on July 15th, but said that he had been a good partner to them in the 2+ years that he has been the superintendent for CPD. They are continuing on just with the question and answer portion of that press conference. We're going to take a 2-minute break before we get into our first conversation here on the show about lead pipes being replaced in this major project here in the city. Hey, welcome back, everyone. 1:37 right now. And did you know Chicago has the largest known inventory of lead pipes of any city in the country? So just imagine having to replace them. There is a federal mandate, in fact, requiring the removal of every lead pipe within roughly 20 years. So now think of the cost, the price tag attached to that. We want to bring in Shakina Sims, the National Resources Defense Council representative, who is speaking with us today about this huge replacement project and the ramifications of this. Thank you so much for your time. Shakina, can you hear me? Can you hear us on this end? Okay, we're going to work on that and get her back into the discussion so we can talk a little bit more about this. But just for a little context here, before we hear from an expert in this particular range, in this field, the range that we're looking at is somewhere around $12 billion to replace the city's inventory at the current rate. Shakina, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you being here on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
So I'm seeing that some cities are paying somewhere between $6,000 and $25,000 to replace each of their lead pipes. And mind you, they have way fewer lead pipes than Chicago. Why is our average $31,000?
That's a really good question. This is something that policy advocates, as well as regular residents, have been asking for a very long time. We just want transparency when it comes to the pricing for per line replacement costs, and we haven't been able to see that. And I think the sooner we can get transparency about what goes into a lead service line replacement, the quicker we can get to solutions.
And I mean, what are you seeing other cities, how they are approaching this versus what the city of Chicago is either in the midst of or prepared to do?
Well, Chicago's lead service line program started in 2021, and they've really been going through a lot of difficulties ramping up their replacement program. It's been moving really slow when we've seen other cities that are much smaller than Chicago with less workforce capacity, less fiscal opportunity, really be able to get their lead pipes out in a much shorter time frame. Now, don't get me wrong, Chicago has a big challenge on its hands, but the task is not impossible. But what we've seen from other cities that we're not necessarily seeing from Chicago yet is lower lead service line replacement costs, a robust workforce program, public engagement that really helps residents understand why it's important to get the lead pipe out and actually get buy-in. Also having additional financing options outside of state and federal funding that they can tap into to help expedite the process. So there are quite a few different things that are in place that I don't think Chicago has gotten there when it comes to coordination and communication.
We often hear about issues with coordination and communication in many different sectors, and that's been a major source of frustration for many people. I do want to ask you here, you know, if you can just talk about the importance of a project like this.
For sure. I don't think there's any price tag that's too large to get the lead out. We've seen the detrimental impacts of lead, particularly on young children, on fetuses, even on adults. It's irreversible damage to the brain. It causes behavior problems, physical impairments. So we know that research have shown years and years now that there's no safe level of lead. The quicker we can get it out, the more we can protect our children and the health and well-beings of not just Chicagoans, but folks across the nation. And so there's no price tag that's too large on protecting our public health. When it comes to the city of Chicago, we just need that transparency. $30,000 to $35,000 to replace a lead pipe. That is way too much money. We need to know what goes into it. We need to get those costs down as quick as possible. And not only to, protect the public health, that is a public health of our residents and future generations. That's the primary goal. But then it can also create workforce opportunities that I don't think we've tapped into enough. Department of Water Management staff have said continuously that we don't have a large enough workforce to tackle our lead pipes over the 20-year period that we've been granted under the lead and copper rule improvements. And so we know we need a stronger workforce. We have neighborhoods in the city of Chicago that have unemployment rates that are double, triple the amount of the citywide average. So if we can get together and get our coordination together, work with local partners, nonprofit organizations, all of the stakeholders, our labor unions, let's get each other in the room together. Let's figure out how can we bolster our workforce to be able to tackle this on the workforce side of things while also protecting the health and safety of residents. And right now we haven't done that, but I'm hopeful that we will get there soon.
It seems like we can't even agree on a set approach. So I'm seeing that state lawmakers introduced a bill at the water department's request to fix an issue here, granting city plumbers access to private lines, which seems to be a particular issue for the state of Illinois versus some other states, but granting them access to private lines without the owner's permission. That passed in May, but the governor still hasn't signed it yet.
For sure. We've seen in other cities, for instance, like Newark, New Jersey, who have implemented what we call a right to entry to do exactly what you outlined, right? We've noticed that renter-dominated cities, including Chicago, that sometimes the homeowners, the property owners live outside of those cities and states, and it's often hard to get in contact with them to be able to gain permission to do this important public health infrastructure project. And so being able to remove that impediment will allow the city to actually ramp up its replacement project process. It will allow for block by block replacements to actually take place. Right now, there's what we call hopscotching, where you will have permission maybe on one or two blocks, houses on the block, but then you have to skip this one and skip this one, and then you can replace this one. That creates a lot of inefficiencies. That drives up costs. That also creates resident frustration because you have to keep coming and redigging the ground when we can just get full blocks done at once. So I do applaud the city of Chicago for actually working with the state. I believe it was Senator Ron Villavalum who sponsored that bill. So kudos to both of them for trying to address that issue. But I do think that is an impediment that is standing in the way of efficiency. And so once the governor actually signs it, I think we can be on our way to at least tackling one problem of a larger problem at hand.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about that block by block. The hopscotching is what you called it there. So I'm seeing in Milwaukee, per line costs dropped by nearly $2,000 since they implemented a block level program.
Yes.
So clearly there are very clear ways that the cost could be cut, but we just haven't gotten there yet. At least from our side of things, it seems like the city, the state say that there are some legal things that they're still trying to get around. But again, waiting on Governor Pritzker's signature to at least kind of start this process. Thank you so much for your time and your attention to this matter. And please keep us updated.
Absolutely. And thank you for your role and really talking about this. I think that there needs to be multiple people on the ground getting the word out about this and making sure that folks prioritize it. So thank you for your role in this as well.
Happy to help. Take care. Have a good, safe weekend.
You too. Thank you.
It's 1:46, everyone. Give us 2 minutes and we're back with our next discussion about youth and sports. Hey, welcome back, everyone. It's 1:48 right now, and we have to have an important discussion about youth in sports. I am a huge proponent, and I say this very full-heartedly, of youth sports. I think there are so many valuable lessons that youth learn from sports that really can be taken to every other aspect of life, and I'm a testament to that. But there are things that we as adults have to keep in mind as well when protecting youth who are involved in sports, especially elite athletes, from things like impossible standards, some blurred boundaries that can happen, and also many other things that lead to issues that range from physical, mental, emotional, and possibly even sexual abuse. So we have Catherine McLean, who is a program and partnerships director with We Ride Together. Thank you so much for your time and being here with us today.
Oh, thank you for championing sports and championing this conversation. It's so important.
It really is. You know, I mean, being in youth sports can just be such a pivotal opportunity for kids. And for sure, we see, especially the summertime, when so many kids are involved in camps. And, you know, there are great things, but then also concerns that come with that time. Talk a little bit about We Ride Together and some of the things that you see as pitfalls during especially these summer months.
Yes, definitely. So We Ride Together is a nonprofit organization dedicated to eliminating abuse in youth sports particularly. We serve organizations all across the globe, actually, from the grassroots to the Olympic level. And one of the big things about summer is exactly what you said, those blurred boundaries. Athletes are spending a lot more time together with that travel, those tournaments, those camps, and boundaries can get blurred with meals and hotels and lodging and driving. So those summer interactions can bring up some safeguarding concerns, not to mention the heat that we're experiencing this year as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, when we say that the heat that we're experiencing, you know, some of the issues can come from maybe a coach or a parent, that a guardian that is more inclined to force the sport on the child than really thinking about is the child okay to practice in those types of conditions or perform in those types of conditions.
Exactly. We really want to make sure that we have the athlete's best interest at heart. And I'm talking about their holistic best interest. And so I think a great thing that parents can do is take a step back and remember the perspective and remember that athletics is just a part of their life. And so balance those summer opportunities with friends, family, leisure, time for rest, those kinds of things as well. And then knowing that in sports, authority figures, such as coaches or medical staff or organizational staff and peers, are the most common perpetrators of that abuse in sports. There's some safeguards that we can put in place on the road. And this would be following the rule of three and the window rule. We want to make sure that we have transparent and observable interaction. So no one-on-one interactions or in person or online through social media, DMs, Snapchat. You want to have another adult present for those room checks, another adult in the car, and those kinds of things. That doesn't mean you can't have private conversations. They just need to happen in plain sight, like the hotel lobby rather than the hotel room, or on the sidelines rather than behind the closed office door. And we surely don't expect every organization to be up to par with these safeguarding things as the tides are changing, or coaches to be experts either. But we have great resources on our website, like the Safeguarding on the Road checklist, where parents can increase their education and awareness and be an advocate for their youth in their sporting organization.
Yeah, I mean, you brought up social media, and that has added a whole different aspect to adult youth interaction in this day and age that many of us never had. I mean, I never talked to my coaches outside of you know, a school or a sporting you know, opportunity. But yeah, I mean, you can have more interaction now, be it social media, that parents now have to be vigilant about as well.
Yes, and we just want to make sure the coaches are staying in their role. They are experts in their sport and have that opportunity to build up the athletes, you know, resilience and skill set and help them achieve their goals. And so we want to keep things on topic and in scope. And if a coach needs to contact an athlete, just do it on a group message chain with the parent CC'd.
Mm-hmm. And it is, honestly, these things are means of protecting not just the youth, but the adult. I mean, you know, you don't even want to go through the list of issues, even from an allegation. So some of these things are protecting the adult as well.
Yes, and that's why we want to have these codes of conduct in place that are outlining acceptable versus unacceptable behavior, because it keeps everybody on the same page and every athletic community member safe, healthy, and protected, so we can focus on sport and gain those wonderful benefits and enjoy it.
What are some of the red flags that you would say guardians, parents need to be on the lookout for when it comes to avoiding burnout. I don't know so many. It's hard, especially again if we're talking about elite athletes. Like they may not tell you, I need a break, because they'll get locked into wanting to be the best, wanting to be the greatest. The parent might get locked into wanting to be the best, wanting to be the greatest, but avoiding burnout is a real thing, especially when you're dealing with young athletes who may have a bright future ahead.
It certainly is. And by all means, continue to be highly aspirational, but then keep in that balance, keep in that rest and recovery. And research actually shows that is in line with high performance. When we have those healthy dynamics and those boundaries around our sport, we can actually do better and excel and reach our goals even more. So parents, be mindful of those pressure. Check in with your athletes about their goals. And then with coaches too, make sure they're in a safe and healthy sporting environment. So we want to see care and support and respect, healthy communication, those kinds of things, rather than power and control tactics like demeaning and degrading the athlete, unsound punishments, failure to provide safety, manipulation, pushing through injury. Things like that are going to decrease the longevity of an athlete's sporting career and not be sustainable. And so we want to keep athletes in sport for a long time and reaching their goals.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will look at like, tough coaching of old. I mean, for those of us who have been athletes, you think like, yeah, I had tough coaches. They pushed me to be better for sure. And how, ways of old, how that would be looked at today. But I think the importance of this is improving the sport and improving the experience for athletes. Because for sure, just as many of us who had positive experiences, those become lifelong badges of honor and things that we uphold. A bad experience can also be a scar that lasts a lifetime on a child.
Most certainly. And so I would say if you're worried about a friend or a teammate or have experienced something yourself, you're not alone. Please reach out for help. There's the Courage First Athlete Helpline, which is a great resource that you can contact, that's free and anonymous, that you can call or text. You can reach out to us at We Ride Together. It can be really hard in sports when things have been normalized for so long to recognize that abuse has transpired or to reach out for help, because reporting pathways can be complicated, confusing, and re-traumatizing. So we want to be there for one another. If something feels off, it probably is. So trust your gut and look for those changes in motivation, changes in health, changes in sleep, changes in behavior. Those are all warning signs that something not okay might be happening.
Mm-hmm. Have to pay close attention, not just to words, but also to some of the things that maybe your body could be speaking for you. If a child is not verbalizing certain things that are happening. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for sharing with us, and again for being a safe space for many youth, and especially at this time.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Have a great weekend. Really important tips. I hope that everyone held on to what she was saying there, not just heard it, but will really heed it moving forward, because for sure, again, sports can be just such a jewel, such a gem in a young person's life, but there are a lot of things that can fall through the cracks that turn what could be a wonderful experience into something that it never should be. So again, We Ride Together, this nonprofit organization, their mission to eliminate all forms of abuse in sports, and she gave you great advice about how to make sure it's a healthy experience for young people moving forward. Let's take 2 minutes and then we'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. 2 o'clock right now. Thanks so much for staying with us through our first hour. And let me tell you a little bit about what's coming up in this second hour that we have here together on this Thursday. Short week for a lot of people, myself included, but one that's important nonetheless. And we're going to talk about Brookfield Zoo America 250 celebration. Of course, that's part of why the week is short for many people. The 4th of July is coming up rapidly, and so many people will be out and about celebrating America's 250th anniversary. And Brookfield Zoo is putting their own little spin on it. Can't wait to find out more about what they're doing. Just like we were speaking moments ago, if you were with us, for a conversation about spotting abuse in sports for youth, especially during these summer months. So too is spotting issues with screen time for kids during the summer months. I mean, we have had for years, decades, conversations about the summer slide. Kids going into summertime with this wealth of information in their heads that they just got from their school year, and then that kind of backsliding over the summer months before they get into a new school year. But screen time issues can really become an issue as well for many different reasons. And so we're going to talk about that around 2:30. We've got to get into this discussion about more ramifications still coming from Operation Midway Blitz. The fall of 2025 was one to remember for Chicagoland. And I say that because things were happening in the city of Chicago with Operation Midway Blitz, but a lot of our attention was even on Broadview and the protests that were happening there. And there was a lot going on throughout the state, primarily right here in our area. And so the litigation continues, right? We have a new lawsuit that was just filed from Operation Midway Blitz that talks about this past year. Undocumented and documented residents of the city of Chicago were the targets during Operation Midway Blitz. This is coming from the law firm that filed this lawsuit. They say our city and surrounding suburbs were invaded by packs of ICE and Border Patrol agents confronting, violating, and abusing many individuals. And so today they have filed this lawsuit on behalf of 5 people in the United States District Court for these individuals whose rights they say were violated to civilly prosecute the ICE agents who wrongfully abused them. This is a huge step, and again, part of an ongoing picture of the impacts from Operation Midway Blitz. So we'll get into it with that law firm that just filed the lawsuit, what they're alleging, how things have played out thus far, and what they expect moving forward. And it's interesting that we're having this Operation Blitz lawsuit filed at the same time that we're seeing the attorney that was involved in the Broadview 6 case step to the forefront of a new Operation New Dawn, that we just listened into a full press conference about in the 1 o'clock hour. So lots of things that are going on. We're going to get into some discussions here in this hour, but we are starting off this hour looking toward what is to come in our later newscast. And we have our 5 p.m. producer, Sloan Salerno, who is joining us to give us an idea of what they are working on downstairs. Hey, Sloan.
Hello. Yeah, the first thing that I'll go over, you just talked about it, Operation New Dawn. So I know you guys listened to that whole press conference earlier, but Joni's going to be picking it up for the later shows. And so I don't need to go into all of it, but, we'll go into the quick facts of it. So they're calling this the badgeless operation, and they're saying it's badgeless because it wasn't all under one agency, the badge of one agency. It was several different federal agencies working together. And they said they made 179 individuals charged across 140 new cases. And so she's digging into that. And like you said, it's interesting that all of this is happening with the Broadview 6 and things like that as they announce, this new mission and all the things that came from it.
Yeah, I mean, Attorney Boutros, maybe celebrated for, again, I think they said they wanted this Operation New Dawn to really send a message to people going into a weekend when we have seen violence tick up in the past, to say it will not be tolerated in this district, but the flip side of that is there are calls for Attorney Boutros to resign as a result of what really devolved in that Broadview 6 case. The fact that the people who were brought forward, all of them, all of their charges were dropped, and now we're starting to see other cases. Loretto Hospital, a fraud case where charges are dropped against people because of this connection to Attorney Boutros. So there's a lot of ties there and a lot of through lines.
And they're using similar wording for this than they did with Operation Midway Blitz too, saying they're going after the worst of the worst. And so you have to wonder, is there going to be some sort of overlap of things that we saw during Midway Blitz and then this new Operation Dawn or New Dawn? So we'll see what comes of that.
Yeah, I mean, in best case scenario here, I think we're looking at a major operation, and I think they said there were like 24 children that were returned to their families. Hey, I mean, celebrate that. That is something to be celebrated for sure.
And then Brett, he is doing a follow on a story. So back in February, a family that he went and spoke to, their son named Malachi was hurt during a football practice. He suffered a severe concussion. They were doing unpadded football practice. And so the family did sue the Valparaiso Community Schools. And the follow-up on this tonight is that the son never went back to school. And apparently both he and his dad, Jason, are allegedly getting harassed. They're getting death threats. And Brett did even confirm with police that they got a report that was filed on Monday about all this. And so the father says that his son is still in and out of the hospital. He may never be the same again. And then he said he's getting nowhere with the school about paying for all the medical bills that have been piling up since, earlier this year. And still no apology from the football team about anything that's happened. And so Brett is talking with them today. And so we'll have an update on that.
We just had a conversation about youth in sports. Again, it can be a beautiful experience, and it can also go very wrong for many young people, and that's very unfortunate. But I guess we'll hear more from Brett about what the overall experience has been like for this family and what they're hoping to get from the school.
Yeah, and Brett is, of course, reaching out to the school to see what they have to say. And so once we have all of that information, we'll have it later. And then Casey is also doing a similar a follow-up. So Arlington Heights, their short-term rental ban is officially in effect. So this is for things like Vrbo or Airbnb. And so she's talking with people who own properties and used to rent them out. And now there's, a bunch of pushback about this just outright ban. And there's, concerns that the ordinance was poorly communicated. It's hard to comply with, all these different things. And one of the big questions, too, is that, is this sustainable? And what would happen if there was the Bears Stadium in Arlington Heights? Would they think about making changes to it or having a different conversation entirely about the short-term rental ban? And so that one will be super interesting too.
There's a way to bring the Bears into almost
everything,
every conversation, right? I didn't see that twist coming. I was just listening and I'm like, well,
yeah,
okay, yeah, that makes sense. If you're gonna have, thousands, tens of thousands of people coming in, and we've often, seen people and interviewed people that, international even fans of the Bears that come in for the games. Yeah, they might be looking for an Airbnb or Vrbo, and a very interesting aspect to that.
Yeah, and again, should the Bears even go there? That's still many, many years down the line. So it's, I guess just starting a conversation of the what if conversation.
Yeah.
And then Tia, she is talking to a woman in Inglewood who she got this new building and she fought really hard to find it and fund it, running a summer program for kids. But the problem is at the corner of 75th and Stewart, and there's been a lot of crime there. So there were shootings in March and April. Someone died in April in a shooting, and she has 50 kids enrolled in this program for the summer. And she was keeping them all inside the building just because she was worried about the violence surrounding it. But she said just overall now, for the safety of the kids, they can't be at that building anymore. And so they're having to go outside at a nearby park. And it's obviously incredibly hot outside. And no one wants to sit outside in the heat. No access to air conditioning for a whole day, however many hours. and she has a lease, and the landlord let her get out of the last 2 months of it, but now it's still the process of trying to find a place for the kids for the summer. And so she did try asking the park district for something, but they have their own busy summer programming, so they don't have space for them. So Tia went out there, what can be done to keep this program going, but also make sure it's safe for the kids.
Wow, what a dilemma. And especially that's coming up now because, of course, for the park district, much of their programming was put in place months ago. So that is a big question as to what they can do now that we are in the midst of summer when something like this comes up. But we know Tia's going to work on it and hopefully get create some change for what's going on there. You feel for the young people especially.
Yeah, for sure. And then I have just 2 across America stories. The first one is a horrible story out of Ohio. So 16 children were rescued from what investigators say are deplorable conditions. Their ages range from, I think it was 18 months to 18 years old. And some of them couldn't even speak. There was clearly no education happening, officials said. And the 18-year-old who was developmentally disabled couldn't even write her own name, they said. And the children appeared to have spent most of their time in a room that was about 12 by 12 feet.
Oh, my goodness.
And they even said it looked like they were almost feral animals, is how the sheriff described it. And so 2 of the children were airlifted to trauma centers, and doctors said that they were 24 hours from death. And so they were actually serving a search warrant on a different investigation, which they have not said what that is yet, when they found all these children. And so it's just, they weren't even sure that they would be there. And they did not say like the relation of all the children so 2 parents and 2 grandparents were arrested, but they did not say like the relation of all the kids, but they did say this is not a kidnapping situation. So it's they're all seemingly relatives.
Yeah, I saw a headline that said House of Horrors connected to that case, but didn't know all of the details there. I mean, anytime we hear about these things, obviously it's not the first time, but anytime we hear about these things, it makes your stomach hurt. Just thinking how anyone could treat children like that. And it's just, that's tough. A really tough case. I think for us as journalists, it's hard to report those types of stories. I mean, if you have a heart, it's hard to report those types of stories, especially when you're having to go into more of the details, more details than you may even relay to people. But then I just think about like those first responders that, like, you're on one case and then you come upon something like this. Like that is a life-changing discovery even for you, like how people could be doing things like that. Yeah, and they're saying, too, that it seems like the family was moving all over Ohio for the past 20 years. Wow. And they avoided somehow setting up, medical and government records, which is why, they had no idea that these kids would be there. And even the neighbors who lived nearby said they've never seen any evidence of children living there. So it just kind of makes you think, could this be happening in my neighborhood? Who knows? Yeah. I mean, you don't know what's going on in people's homes, but you would never want to find out that something that horrible was happening right next to you and you didn't know. Oh, yeah. Awful. And then I will end on a happy note. So please. Yes, a giraffe named Gracie in Texas. She's finally back home. I don't remember if I talked about this. I remember before, when she was on the loose. She was on the loose, and that was back in June. So June 12th is when she escaped from a private ranch in Texas, and she was on the run for 3 weeks. And so she's been found, and she's back safe. And so we are hearing from one of the veterinarians who was involved with it. He has been a vet for 43 years. He says he's never experienced anything like this. And if you're wondering how she could have stayed hidden for so long, they're saying that the rugged hills and thick brush in the area is what kept her hidden, because you would think you could just look up and see a giraffe, but evidently not. And they did end up finding her on like a deer camera. So the owners who had like a deer spotter, a game spotter, they were obviously shocked when they saw a giraffe on there. And so thankfully they were able to tranquilize Gracie, and they had to get her a blindfold and a halter on her, and they had to put her in a custom built trailer to drive her home. She was about 8 miles away, but now she's back home safe. listen, I was so enthralled with that coverage out of Texas during that, because you do wonder, like, how do you lose a giraffe of all animals? Like, how do you lose a giraffe? And I remember seeing the pictures and the videos of her when she did kind of peek her head around the brush, and you're like, oh my goodness, how is this happening? But I'm so glad that they were able to get her back home safely, and I hope that now that she's learned how to go, that something has changed so that doesn't happen again. Because I was also wondering when she was on the lam, I was hoping that there wasn't some accident, that you're driving along and then all of a sudden there's a giraffe in front of you. Like what would happen then? So I was hoping that she'd be found safely. I'm glad that she has been, and I can't wait for the updates there.
Yeah, all fun. So yeah, ending on a good note there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we will see the products of Sloan's hard work coming up in the 5 o'clock show. The 4 o'clock show, we are coming upon very quickly as well. Give us 2 minutes, and we still have time here left on Chicago Live. So we're going to take a quick 2-minute break before we get into our next discussion here about Operation Midway Blitz. Hey, welcome back, everyone. 2:19 right now, and we have attorney Gregory Koulis from Gregory Koulis and Associates Ltd, who is joining us. I'm sorry. Okay, and we also have another representative from that law firm, Brian Orozco, who is joining us to talk about filing a new lawsuit connected to Operation Midway Blitz last fall. Thank you both for being here. We appreciate it.
You're quite welcome.
Absolutely.
You all had a press conference today outside of the Federal Postal Building announcing this new lawsuit. For those who didn't hear the announcement and don't know the details here that bring us to this point, let us know what you all are doing.
So yesterday, we filed 5 lawsuits for 7 individuals whose rights were violated during Operation Blitz. The majority of them experienced excessive force through tear gas. One of them was yanked out of a car and beaten and falsely arrested. And all 5 of them, again, were victims of ICE and Border Patrol enforcement during Operation Blitz.
And so are you all, the lawsuits are against the individual ICE agents or the agency?
Go ahead, Greg.
At this point, it's the agency or the government because we don't have the identity of these officers. That's one of the issues that we've come across, or what the general public has come across. You have officers running around, hiding behind masks, no name tags, no identity, and many of these officers are clearly thugs on the street, acting irrationally, violating the constitutional rights of our clients. So in the process of filing this lawsuit, we are going to be seeking the identity of these individuals and trying to hold them accountable in a civil lawsuit.
Very interesting that you all are taking this approach, because it was a pretty controversial decision from the state's attorney, Eileen O'Neill Burke, not to prosecute the ICE agents. So how do you all feel you all will be able to approach this differently?
Well, very briefly, State's Attorney Burke decided that she did not want to prosecute criminally. So we're stepping up as lawyers with the obligation we feel to the general public to try to assist our clients and prosecute civilly. I said it's a privilege to have a law license, and one of the things that goes with the law license is to try to enforce the law and help people that need help. And in these cases, we're stepping up, and we're asking the rest of the legal community to step up and assist many of these people whose rights were violated. We're just filing 5 lawsuits. We just filed 5 lawsuits, but there's many, many more out there.
And really briefly, the 5 cases that we filed lawsuits for, everything was caught on video. Arguably, everything that our clients suffered were crimes. One of our clients, the ICE officer threw a tear gas canister at the car without any provocation whatsoever. If a private civilian did that, they would automatically be arrested. If a local police officer or a sheriff were to do that, they would automatically be suspended. Not only is that Border Patrol agent who did that at large, but is not facing any criminal consequences or even any administrative consequences within the agency. So if Eileen Burke is not willing to do her job, we're going to have to seek the only option available to us, which is to go to the courts.
Very interesting. I mean, even the Kane County state's attorney, I remember speaking with her as well. And you mentioned, Brian, the video, and she admitted, I looked at the video, I can see that there were crimes committed, but she declined to prosecute. She said that she can't prosecute these federal agents. And so this is do you see this as a new wave, essentially, that you all are starting a new movement, essentially, of how to go about holding these agents and the agency accountable?
Well, one of the things we're hoping to accomplish is to identify these officers and make sure that people know, or the government knows, who these officers are. We're not saying every officer that was out there was a bad person, but there are some people that clearly did some bad things. And the only way to stop this is nip it in the bud and hold these people accountable and identify who they are.
And we're hoping that the rest of the legal community will step up and start representing more of these individuals. And like you were talking about, a new wave, absolutely. That's what we're hoping that this. We're hoping that this is the seed, that plants the tree that eventually leads to, mass lawsuits for accountability. Absolutely.
Starting with these 7 individuals, 5 lawsuits here, and so I would ask too, where did these things? I was giving you the example of Cook County State Attorney or Kane County State's Attorney Mosser, but where did these instances take place?
So 2 of the instances occurred at Bretton Park for the protest of Miramar Martinez on October 4th. Those are the tear gas incidents involving Jennifer Crespo and Eddie Guillen, who we represent. The carjacking that I previously referred to for Jose Dominguez happened at Douglas Park. And then a father with a 1-year-old who was at the Sam's Club in Cicero ICE agents were driving by and randomly deployed tear gas at the car and tear gassed the 1-year-old. That happened in the Cicero area. And again, that all happened during Operation Blitz between October and December of 2025.
I do remember us reporting on that incident outside of the Sam's Club, and I believe that we had some video even from that situation there. I remember that family talking about their 1-year-old having issues as a result of the tear gas that was deployed there. What are you hoping changes from this? I mean, obviously this is civil, but what are you hoping changes as a result of approaching things this way?
I think that one of the things that we're trying to change is to have our own government agents and agencies try to either charge these individuals criminally, which may or may not happen, but also maybe the people that are in the federal government will look back and say, this whole process and action didn't really go like we wanted it to go. You know, they advertised they were there to collect undocumented people that were the worst of the worst. That were criminals. That were illegal in this country. But but we saw on the news and throughout the networks that this was not the case at all. They were grabbing people who were just walking down the street, people who were just viewing what ICE was doing, and maybe the federal government and its agencies will realize that, you know, we didn't handle this situation well, and we got to make sure if we do anything going forward that we do it the right way to protect people's constitutional rights and not let our officers be rogue officers and go out and do whatever they want whenever they want.
Gregory, it's interesting that you bring up that worst of the worst, because that is in so many of our minds here in Chicagoland as a statement that was made during Operation Midway Blitz, but it's also what we heard today announced from Attorney Boutros, U.S. Attorney Boutros, describing Operation New Dawn that they just launched. They just gave us the details about this 60-day operation, and they use those exact same words, that we're going after the worst of the worst.
And clearly not the case. And clearly in the past, you can only look at your actions in the past. And we're hoping that by bringing out the names and finding these individuals accountable for their actions, that maybe the right people in federal government will realize that we've got to handle this situation a little differently than we did in the past.
So
it's interesting you mentioned Boutros, because up until Operation Blitz, the federal government, the federal prosecutor's office, the U.S. Attorney's office had more than a 90% conviction rate, but more than 90% of the cases that were charged as it relates to ICE activity and ICE arrest have been dismissed. And Boutros has actually been in the news lately because, you know, the Broadview 6, it was proven in open court through grand jury transcripts that there was prosecutorial misconduct to even have those cases charged, was led to the automatic dismissal of those particular cases. And I know that those criminal defense attorneys are seeking sanctions against Boutros and those U.S. attorneys for that misconduct. So whatever the federal government is saying in regards to ICE activity, it's clearly not the case, and it's shown in black and white.
I definitely did bring up that through line of the issues that are still playing out for Attorney Boutros as they announced this new operation that's taken place over the last 60 days. But he did say that their numbers are up in terms of fighting crime 450%. And that they are taking violent crime seriously and beginning to see relief. That years of people not being held accountable is being addressed now through this Operation New Dawn that was announced today. But yes, there are still things with his name on them that are still unfolding from Operation Midway Blitz. Do you feel like we have even scratched, honestly, the surface of what we will see coming from what happened last fall?
I would hope that the rest of the legal community, which we called out to today, would help some of these people whose rights were violated. And we're hoping that this is just the beginning of actions taken by other law firms and lawyers who are privileged enough to be licensed in the state of Illinois, and to help some of these people whose rights were violated.
in regards to specifically scratching the surface, I believe we're barely scratching the surface. And thankfully, through these lawsuits, the discovery process, we're going to learn a lot more as the particularities regarding each of these individual cases. We actually received a number of calls from people that were interested in filing suit but are scared of retaliation. Hopefully, this press conference and the experience with these 5 cases will convince them differently, and a lot more people will come forward, and we can bring to light some of the issues that we are seeing right now just with these 5 cases alone. Again, every single one of our cases, the misconduct was caught on video. And it's clearly egregious, clearly excessive force, clearly false arrest, clearly illegal detention. So yes, I think we're just scratching the surface. And depending on people's involvement, we're going to scratch a little bit deeper and more.
And so for these 5 cases filed today, what is the expected, or what are the expected next steps? Do you have a timeline? What can people expect moving forward, even for these 5 cases?
Well, each case gets assigned to a federal judge. And from that point on, the judge will set a schedule as to how to proceed. Federal government will file appearances on this case, on each one of these cases, and more than likely try to file some motions to delay things, try to throw parts of the cases out. And we're going to be doing discovery to find the actual identity of these officers. Because over the past, we've seen, and nowhere else in this government do we see officers hiding behind masks without badges on, but hiding behind masks without name tags, switching license plates on vehicles so nobody could identify who they are. That's what one of the things we're trying to stop, and bring out in the open who these individuals were that are these rogue officers acting the way they are.
Yeah, and Secretary of State Alexi Giannoulias just posted a video this week about the license plate issue that you just brought up, saying that he's seeing it again here throughout our area. So thank you so much for
other individuals. Let me point out, other individuals would be arrested and charged with the crime for switching license plates. But I guess it's okay for federal officers hiding behind masks and and acting without name tags to switch license plates. But again, anyone else, as Brian pointed out, if anyone else did some of the things that these officers have done, they'd be arrested or suspended or terminated.
He is asking people to reach out if they spot instances of that. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. Please keep us updated on these cases and if any others come your way.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Have a good weekend. It's 2:33, everyone. Give us 2 minutes before we come back to talk about screen time this summer with kids. Okay, welcome back, everyone. 2:35 right now, and summertime is in full swing. And as we have many conversations about fun times for kids, we want to make sure that the fun is still attached to it. And there are so many different things that we also have to be just cognizant of during the fun summer months to make sure that some hidden dangers don't come to to the forefront here, that there are some healthy balances. When we talked about kids and youth sports, same thing when it comes to screen time for kids during these summer months. We have Dr. Allison Kranick from Northwestern Medicine who is joining me. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me. I'm a mental health counselor. I work primarily with children and families, and I'm happy to be here and talk about screen time.
The summer months are a tricky time because you have so many things going on and a lot less structure to children's days. Talk about how screen time then becomes like an everyday part of what I just described, but then something that can hinder kids overall.
Yeah, so we definitely see screens become the default over the summer for a lot of reasons. Parents are busy, there's less structure. One of the things we really want to pay attention to is where's the balance. So it doesn't have to be screen time versus real life, but are we getting real life in there? We want to raise kids that they don't have to avoid technology, but we want them to be so full of real world experiences that these screens don't become the center of their childhoods, because when they do, we see them impacted socially, cognitively, emotionally, and I know none of us want our kids to be at a disadvantage when it comes to those areas.
Mm-hmm. And there's part of this where it's like it's an easy pitfall for parents when you are trying to get things done to just say, hey, look at this, so that I can get things done myself because I don't have summer break, you do. But the flip side of that is that sometimes it's also it's a way of bringing peace when kids are, because they are so connected to these devices, they come unglued when they don't have them.
That's absolutely right. We see a lot more aggression and difficulty managing emotion in general when those screens are removed because they haven't learned how to function without them. So we want to help kids be bored, and this is a skill that we have to teach them. We have to guide them. If you think of our imaginations as a garden, boredom is the water that our imaginations need. And so when we remove boredom from kids, or we see that as a problem that we have to solve, we don't give them these opportunities to explore these things, to play with different toys. And yes, sometimes it is a lot, right? Sometimes it is much easier to say, here's a screen, go on it. But in the long run, are we really giving our kids what's going to be best for them?
Mm-hmm. I love how you said that, learning how to be bored. And this is a different generation, and they have so many ways of things catching their attention, but it's not like, those of us who are older and it was just like, hey, get outside and play with your friends. We are a much more isolated society in general.
We definitely are, and the more that we're on screens, the more lonely we feel, which is concerning, because increased loneliness can lead to increased depression, increased suicide risk factors. Again, all the things we don't want for our children. And it's important to remember that the opposite of screen time isn't no screen time. The opposite of screen time is connection with other people, and that's really what kids lose when they have a screen in front of them. And so we have to help, again, we have to guide them. How do we make plans with our friends? How do we contact them? What do we do with our friends? We have to give them the why, right? Kids always want to know, why are we doing this? We're doing this because our friends can be really, really fun.
Yeah. And tell me how, I haven't watched, and I don't know if it's out, Toy Story 5, but how this kind of factors, this conversation has come up as a result of this new movie.
Yeah. So in the movie, the screen or the tablet is seen as not so much the enemy, but as this thing that's interfering with play, that's interfering with our imagination. And I won't give away the ending for anyone who hasn't seen it, but one of the morals of the story per se is let's play, let's have fun. And parents can do that without feeling like they have to constantly be these screen police. So instead of thinking of it that way, think of it as how do you be connection coaches for your children, for your teens, especially teens and kids who have grown up talking to people primarily over a screen. They may need help, even if they're a teenager. They may need help making phone calls, making plans, figuring out what to do that's not a screen. The things that we kind of figured out as kids, they really struggle to do, and they need that guidance.
I love your advice. I mean, I'm literally like, ooh, connection coaches. I love that. Again, I think we've probably talked through the purpose, the importance of what you just described, but never deemed it connection coaches. I love that.
I like that too, because it gives parents something to focus on. Telling parents limit screens, it feels like you're trying to climb a giant mountain and you're never going to get to the top. But saying, how do we help our kids just have fun with each other? And we have to remember as parents, we have to put down the screens too. If we're doing it, we cannot expect our kids to do anything differently.
Oh, that is such a good point too. Are there some other useful tools that you want, some gems you want to drop on us before I let you go here, because you're on a roll?
Think simple. You don't have to spend a lot of money. You don't. I have an 8-year-old at home, and a few months ago, she ended up with this pile of boxes, and I thought it would keep her busy for, I don't know, maybe a half hour. 6 hours later, Whoa. She had built an entire city of boxes. And so even going on Facebook Marketplace, seeing, can you get some boxes for low cost, for free? Can you give them, if you feel like it's safe, can you give them a hammer and some wood and some nails and see what they'll make? Can you give them a bat and a ball? Can you give them a basketball? Can you, tell them to go outside and see how many bugs they can find? It doesn't have to be anything crazy. It doesn't have to be something that costs a lot of money. It just has to be something that is fun and that helps them use their imagination.
Mm-hmm. Great advice. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the conversation, and I'm sure there are a few others who are watching who will as well.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Take care. I loved her advice. I love the way that she, kind of phrased things. Again, that connection coaches, that's going to stay with me for a long time there. Instead of being screen police, be connection coaches. Something to take home with you today. Let's take a 2-minute break so that we can find out more about how Brookfield Zoo is celebrating America's 250th. 2:45, and the list is long of ways that you can celebrate America's 250th this upcoming weekend, and maybe for a while thereafter. The fun, there's so many ways that you can have fun and celebrate, and that takes us to Brookfield Zoo Chicago, because they are doing their own thing, putting their own twist on America's 250th, and we have Julianne Olivo, the director of PR for Brookfield Zoo Chicago, who is joining us to tell us more. Thank you so much for your time. Uh-oh, I think she can't see us. Okay, we're working on that. So I'll give you a little bit as we're working through it. They are doing their 4th of July weekend family-friendly activities, and they have plenty of special promotions, opportunities, so that you can learn about some of North America's most iconic wildlife species. Of course, it's Brookfield Zoo Chicago, right? And so the admission to $2.50, everybody, for general admission. You can't beat that. You can't beat that. That's for kids on Saturday, and of course that is July 4th. You can do a family combo meal for $17.76. You get it, $17.76, at their 4th of July grill. And then they're going to be doing some conversation stories out there as well. They've got a list of great things that are going to be happening. I think Julianne can hear us now. Hopefully we can see her too. Julianne, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Of course, of course. We love to hear that you all are doing some special things for everybody for Brookfield Zoo Chicago's America 250th celebration. Tell us more. I was giving folks a few different things, but you know more than I do.
Yeah, so we've got some awesome special promotions going on that have a hint and a nod to our anniversary or Independence Day. So kid admission on Saturday is $2.50. If you're interested in barbecuing but aren't interested in the hassle, we've got a great opportunity for you at the zoo. For $17.76, we've got a cookout happening with a family combo meal. And then there's all different activities throughout the weekend. So tomorrow, Friday through Sunday, we'll have zoo chats and crafts that tie into iconic species that people know and love and connect back to America, like a bald eagle, brown bears, North American river otters, and many more.
Ooh, river otters. Wonderful. And look, so I'm seeing also the blanding turtles, American flamingos. I mean, when you all were thinking, all right, what are we going to do for America's 250th? What was the conversation like in terms of like, we got to do it big for this year?
Yeah, we know that we're home to so many species that are iconic to the nation. And when people think of America or picture their state flag, bison, bald eagle immediately come to my mind. Mm-hmm. But there are so many native species right in our backyard that we hope that people can learn about and enjoy when they visit the zoo. Blanding's turtle is one of them. We have native fish if you're visiting Living Coast. A lot of people go straight to the penguins, but you're passing by some amazing aquatic animals as well. And then there are turtles, we have snakes, all throughout the zoo. You can learn about these species. And then even back by Dragonfly Marsh, we are on Forest Preserve property, 235 acres. So you can see native species in the forest that while you're on grounds as well.
Now, I think this is phenomenal especially if people are putting together last minute plans and maybe they didn't even think like, oh yeah, like this is something of course, let's do Brookfield Zoo Chicago. Let's say they already have plans, they're going to be doing some other things. You all are a hot place, and well, everybody's a hot place right now, but a great place to visit throughout the summer months. Tell us about some of the other things going on.
Yeah, absolutely. So zoo chats are something that happen year round. If you go on our website, there's a new bar across the bottom that says Today Brookfield. And when you click on that, you can learn about the different animal encounters you can purchase, but then also all of the zoo chats that we have happening on a given day are outlined there. We also have a lot of fun events coming up this summer. Our Dinos After Dark will be on July 11th. So that is one of 3 remaining family-friendly after-hours events. And then we also have our 2 final Roaring Nights concerts coming up.
Ooh, who's in the concert?
So on July 24th, we have Blues Travelers, and there's still a limited number of tickets for that. And then the 25th is Nelly, and that concert is sold out.
What? Why am I not surprised it's sold out?
Yeah, the concerts are a really fun way to see the zoo from a different way, and it's the only concert venue in Chicago where you can feed a giraffe by day and then hear a live performance at night.
Oh my goodness. We were just talking about a giraffe down in Texas that was on the run recently. Were you watching that whole situation?
I think it was hard to be on social media without seeing it this week.
It really was. It's like, how do you lose a giraffe?
And if you were captivated by that giraffe, you have to come out to the zoo and visit our giraffes so you can actually feed them when you're at Brookfield Zoo Chicago.
Oh my goodness, definitely want to do that at some point in time. I actually was just watching a little video from a family friend online, and they had taken their kids over to feed the giraffes, and I was like, I want to feed the giraffes.
Come on out. We'll have you anytime.
Thank you all so much for what you do. And again, tell us for this weekend, is it Saturday, Sunday, or are most of these events happening for Saturday only? What do we need to do?
Yes. So our zoo chats featuring native North America's iconic species are Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. If you want to take advantage of any of those special prices, so the $2.50 admission for kids or that $17.76 grill out, those would both be on Saturday.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much for your time. And I'm hoping that the weather cooperates for you all too for this. Is this rain or shine?
It is rain or shine. We do have some wonderful picnic areas that are enclosed for that grill out. But then also there's plenty of habitats and buildings you can pop in along the route throughout the zoo if you're exploring.
Okay, some pro tips there. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Have fun.
Thank you, too.
Okay. Great things. So we want to make sure that, we're bringing in the things that you can do, yes, for the adults, but also for the whole family. Fun for the whole family this weekend. And we will get into the weather coming up in about 35 minutes or so. We'll bring up a meteorologist so that we can talk a little bit more about the weather. It got so dark earlier today, and I was just waiting on the storm. And then it got light again. So there's lots that's going on. We do know that there are some storms heading our way, and so we'll get more information about just what we can expect for this weekend when we know so many people want to be out and about celebrating America's 250th. And for sure, there's just so many things that are going on. Let's go over a few things that we have our eyes on, and many people have had their eyes on our website. As we've been updating it throughout the day. I'm going to give you a couple now, might give you a couple more in the 3 o'clock hour as we are quickly approaching that hour here. We did get some updated information from an Amazon shooting. This happened at an Amazon manufacturing facility. A food delivery driver that's now been charged with murder outside of this Matson facility. A 33-year-old man who has been charged in Sunday's fatal shooting of a worker outside of the Amazon Fulfillment Center. I think I said manufacturing fulfillment center in Madison. Police said that the shooting followed an argument and a minor physical altercation, and someone ended up losing their life. The victim, Dylan Perkins. The suspect, his name is Devontae Hodge. This all played out in the parking lot. Not sure what they were arguing over, but the end result was that a life was lost. Hodge was taken into custody on Tuesday after meeting with investigators and is due in court today. So that's why we're getting more information now about this situation that happened just a short few days ago. And we have the information in terms of what we know here, that this happened around 10:54 p.m. on Sunday. Officers were there within 3 minutes. I believe we told you about this on Monday when we first were hearing about this. 3 minutes. And this young man lost his life that quickly. So Perkins is a native of Glenwood. He was taken to Olympia Fields Hospital, but he died of his injuries there. And again, Hodge is due in court today for a detention hearing. So we should be getting even more details. But the one thing we still don't know is what I said moments ago, and that's we don't even know what this argument was about that led to a shooting in the parking lot of this Amazon fulfillment center that ultimately led to a loss of life. Very, very unfortunate, and seems very preventable as well. Let's also look at another thing. In our 1 o'clock hour, if you were with us right off the top of our 1 o'clock hour, we went to a press conference with Attorney Andrew Boutros and the ATF director and also other law enforcement officials. I think there was a representative from the FBI who was there as well, and they were announcing Operation New Dawn. New Dawn being, it is a new dawn, a new day for the city and city of Chicago and surrounding areas, for Chicagoland, the Northern District that they represent, that they are taking violent crime seriously and they are beginning to see some relief. So in this press conference, they announced 179 people who have been arrested and charged as a result of this massive operation that went on for about 60 days starting May 1st. And so now we have mugshots on our website. This is a new post on our website here from Operation New Dawn of the 179 people charged in this anti-violence of what Attorney Boutros called a first of its kind anti-violence crackdown. First of its kind, I think one of the things that he was talking about was that this was a badgeless operation, that they really wanted to show that all of these different agencies, that there sometimes can be friction when there are multiple agencies trying to work on something, because the ATF is used to having their lane and the FBI is used to having their lane, and everybody kind of has their thing, but it was badgeless from the sense that everyone was working together for this common goal of making the streets of Chicago more safe. And one of the things that I think has really stuck with me from this was the revelation that there were about 24 children that were returned to their family. 24 children. They recovered 24 children, many of whom had been reported kidnapping or missing, that according to their office were returned to their families as a result of this operation. So we have plenty of information about the individuals that were apprehended, the drugs, the money, and again, the cooperative effort that happened for this Operation New Dawn, for them to get this far in it. And they said that they still have more work to do, but they wanted to make this major announcement today ahead of the 4th of July weekend, because it is a time when we typically see violence tick up, and they wanted to send a very clear message that it will not be tolerated here in our area. So let's take a 2-minute break before we get to the 3 o'clock hour, everyone, and then I'll set you up for where we're going from here. Welcome back, friends. It's 3:01 right now. Welcome to our final hour of Chicago Live for the day. So glad that you're here with us. If you just joined us, there's plenty more to go before we turn you over to the 4 o'clock news. And if you've been riding with us since the 1 o'clock hour, we certainly appreciate you. We've had some great conversations already, some very impactful and important conversations about things happening in our area and throughout our state. And we still have a few more to go. So let's talk a little bit about what we have for this hour. Before we let you go, that's probably one of the songs they're going to be scratching. At the Chosen Few Picnic and Festival. It's coming up later on, let me see, not this weekend, but it's the next weekend. I believe it's July 11th when the Chosen Few Picnic is happening. It's always a big family reunion, a wonderful time, weather cooperating, and it's a full day of soulful celebration, they say, and house music history. The DJs of DJs, the OGs, are out there, and we're going to get a few of a special guests coming up later on in this hour, right around 3:45. So you do not want to miss that. Some familiar faces to our area who are very much beloved. We are going to talk about the weather coming up around 3:30 because with so many things that are happening throughout our area this upcoming weekend. Throughout the week, we've been seeing the chance for rain and storms continue to creep up. So we've got to find out if that trend has continued now that we are really on the cusp of the weekend, or if we just need to prepare ourselves with some contingency plans. We'll get into those details around 3:30 again. I believe it's JD Rudd who's here with us today, and hopefully we'll have him come up and talk to us in more detail about that. Also, we'll talk about the Evanston Parade for America's 250th. It's their annual 4th of July parade that's getting ready to happen, but this is home of the Braves since 1776. It's going to be happening this weekend, and for sure, one of the fun-ish type of conversation surrounding the Evanston Parade for the 4th of July is not really about the parade itself. It's not really about the parade itself. It's about how people prepare for the parade. And one of the things that you learn very quickly is that this thing called dibs is serious business. And so we're going to talk about the Evanston Parade dibs tradition and some of the regulations that have been put around it so everyone can do it the right way. If you're getting ready for the Evanston Parade happening this weekend, we want to make sure that all is well. But first, as I've been saying, we're having lots of conversations about things near and far throughout our state, in our city. Now we've got to go well beyond, all right? We have John Stewart who's joining us for World UFO Day. Thank you so much for being here, man. Welcome back.
Hello. Forgive me. I'm not in my a Hollywood podcast studio. I'm in my former office that my wife turned into a 12-person dining room table. I'm like, I don't even know 12 people. Anyways, the thing is so long, you have to send out a trip flare to signal anyone. Anyway, so I just wanted to apologize for that. How are you today? Nice to see you.
I'm doing well. Listen, we were so entertained with the background the last time, but it's all right,
It's not easy being me.
We get it. So World UFO Day in 2026. What do you think, or what goes through your mind this year that really encapsulates where we are in terms of disclosure and discovery versus 2025 or years before?
Great question. I am not bragging here. Again, I always say to everybody, I come on here to tell the truth. I had literally 3 Hollywood meetings with Hollywood executives or producers today on Zoom calls, wanting Tell us about your investigation. Tell us about this hunting Victor. Tell us about what else could you give us with aliens? Because to answer your question, the fact that extraterrestrials and UFOs are being talked about on a regular basis on major media, local media, congressmen, congresswomen are talking about it. We're talking about the government having bodies and crafts and storage. I think that's the message for 2026 and UFO World Day, is that it is out in the open. The extraterrestrial phenomenon has come out of the closet, and I coined that little phrase. I always wanted to help the government come out of the closet with this phenomenon and just be honest with the American people, and we're getting that way. And I am really very surprised and very shocked that UFOs and extraterrestrials are being talked about without the X-File music and without being taken very seriously. And as an investigator for 7 years and somebody from Chicago that has literally fallen down this government UFO extraterrestrial rabbit hole with my investigation, I'm very excited. I'm very pleased that where it's at. I think we are going to have some explosive information and videos coming forth in the next few months.
Okay, I want to pick apart a couple of things that you said there. When you talk about, the fact that it's out in the open, and yes, there are the conversation has shifted quite a bit. But why do you think, even though there has been mentions of bodies and things of that nature, the rollout of documents, there have been several things in the last several months that were major developments. Why do you think, or how long before do you think we're at the point of actual physical proof in front of us?
Another great question. I mean that sincerely. It came to a point, I think, where news directors and networks and cable TV shows were like, look, the evidence is getting almost overwhelming here. We have sitting United States senators and congressmen being told that these beings are interdimensional. We have former Israeli defense minister telling us that extraterrestrials are real and they've been here for a very long time. So I just think the information has been overwhelming for people in the media and people in the news, and somebody got the courage to take this very seriously. And if I want to take that one step further, look, the bald, chubby guys on Fox News again, Jon Stewart. I ran for Illinois governor. I'm not some kook in my mom's basement. The one of the most respected UFO disclosure advocates, who's got this 700 person witness list and 4 terabytes of information about disclosure, is a former emergency room doctor. I mean, we have an award-winning journalist, Linda Moulton Howe. We have Dr. Michael Sala, that was a political mediator. We've got people, serious people that have the pedigree and backgrounds to say, look, we're not wearing tinfoil on our head. This is a serious situation. We don't know the entire truth, but we're all here to figure that out. So I think that, again, eventually and I am calling for this too. Look, show us the bodies, show us the film, like my alien interview film from 1997. Show us an autopsy photo. Get us inside one of these underground facilities, like at Papoose Lake, south of Area 51, the Dugway Proving Ground in Utah, Wright-Patterson, the Blue Room in Ohio. Come on. If we don't, I told a Hollywood producer today, look, if a sitting president of the United States of America can't knock on the door of a facility, no matter what it is, that is owned and paid for by the American taxpayers, we have a serious issue in this country, and it's time that we let loose. We pull back the curtain, and we let some of the most jarring, jaw-dropping video, photos, and documents unleashed on the public. We're sick of the blurry UFOs. I mean, they're great. Some of the photos are great, but we need the 4K resolution. I know I beat this like a drum, but we need the high resolution UFO landing at an Air Force base, and we need the photos of the beings that I have proven. We've had this interrogation and retention program since the 60s where we filmed extraterrestrials being interviewed telepathically or thought projection. And we've got thousands of these on electronic file now and on our computers with the government. It's time we let the people see what we have been concealing from them for over 80 years.
Well, John, I mean, did you speak with Steven Spielberg? Because everything that you just described, the media and the news getting this and the what goes back to the 60s and the electronic files and what's on the video, all of those things were in his new movie Disclosure Day. And I mean, at the end of it, there was a physical presence.
Right, but that's a movie, and we all know. I mean, even my wife, that is not interested in this subject matter on whole, knows that Steven Spielberg has had contact with the government and has had information fed to him. I mean, that's but it's not a high-ranking Air Force colonel stepping forward at the National Press Club in the press briefing room at the White House saying, "Folks, we have decided that it's time to come clean. The slow drip disclosure is not working, and we are now going to show you a presentation of living and deceased extraterrestrials. We're going to give you code names and facility names. We're going to show you the facilities. We're going to show you underground." I have had please listen to me on this. I have had 4 retired Air Force intelligence men who have been with the Office of Special Investigations in the Air Force, 4 of them, who all said, and some of them really don't know each other, so they all said this at different times, that their initial thrust, their initial briefing into the extraterrestrial phenomenon was to be sat in a room and a 16 millimeter film with sound starts to roll, and they take it from the Roswell crash where President Harry Truman is in one of the evidence tents outside of Corona, New Mexico. That's where the craft with the beans actually crashed, not Roswell. And it goes and it takes the lineage, and the footage gets better, goes into the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, briefing these Air Force intelligence men on the phenomenon. We, the public, need that type of briefing, whether it's 15 minutes or 5 minutes. The government, with a spokesperson, somebody from the Air Force or the Pentagon, the DOD, needs to step forward and show the government, show the American people that the government has this information, take questions from the press, and do a rollout, so to speak, and have press briefings and go on news programs and let this be discussed amongst the media and the American public. This needs to happen. We have the film. We need to show it.
Yeah, I mean, we've taken huge steps, but there are huge steps still to be taken in this realm. We're out of this realm. Thank you so much, John. We always appreciate having you here on the show. It's been quite the year where these types of things are concerned, but it does just make you wonder. It's 2026. Like, when do we just get the meat and potatoes? Like, when does it get laid out in front of us?
It's so true. I'll wrap it up for you. It's been 80 years. This is ridiculous. They're treating us like children. The extraterrestrials in those underground facilities have been paid by my taxes, your taxes, and your viewers' taxes. I don't think we realize that. We are the holders of this government and of these facilities and of every piece of equipment the government owns and has. We own that. We, the American people. Stop treating us like children. Stop mocking our citizenship and show us the goods. Show us these extraterrestrials. Tell us where they came from and tell us what you know. And thank you for having me on today.
John Stewart, thank you so much as always. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you again.
3:15, everyone. Give us 2 minutes before we talk about Evanston Parade and this tradition of dips. right, welcome back, everyone. It's about 3:21. Let's talk about what's going on in Evanston this weekend for the 4th of July. They're home of the Braves since 1776 celebrations. And we have Bruce Baumberger, who is joining us. He is the Evanston 4th of July Association's trustee emeritus. Thank you so much for being here.
Good afternoon.
Great having you here on the show. Tell me about just how the parade has evolved, the celebrations there in Evanston, how they have evolved over time.
Our celebration goes back to 1921 when there were some children injured by fireworks. At that time, the North End Mothers Club launched what has become the Evanston 4th of July Association, perhaps the only 501c3 organization that sponsors a all-day celebration on the 4th of July. This is our 105th parade coming up this year. We are very excited to start the day with playground sports in a variety of playgrounds in the community. We have a fun run at noontime, parade at 2 o'clock, going down Central Street east from Central Park to down to Ryan Field. And then we wrap up the day with a lakefront concert at the Arrington Lagoon at 7:30 by the Palatine Concert Band, and fireworks at 9:30. We expect to have a really spectacular show this year. And for people who are not living in the immediate Evanston area, I'd like to point out that we have excellent transportation to get to Evanston through the CTA Metro. So encourage you to come up and enjoy the day.
There's so much going on, and just talk about what it means to people in Evanston to have this community outlet to bring people together like this.
This is a outstanding community celebration. We have people of all ages, all backgrounds coming together, spending the day to celebrate our country's independence. It's an absolutely amazing experience to see people staking out their chairs on Central Street, days before the parade begins. We actually have a history of people putting chairs out, in some cases weeks before the parade, which got to be such an issue that the city passed an ordinance. No one could put their chairs out until 6 a.m. on the 1st of July. And I assure you that shortly after 6 a.m. Yesterday we had a lot of people putting chairs out. Dibs is a big deal in Evanston. People have the tradition of sitting in the same general area for every parade. As I go down the parade route, I know exactly where I'm going to find my friends.
You went right into where I was going with this conversation, this tradition of dibs. Now, it's all done in good faith, that people, how did people start to do this?
It's just sort of evolved, and that people have established their favorite locations. They like to be curbside, like to be under a shady tree. They all have reasons for why they want to be where they are, and it is absolutely a tradition such that if we did not sponsor a parade, I think people would still be putting their chairs out at 6 a.m. on July 1st. It is remarkable, and no one steals the chairs. They're there with full integrity for several days.
That speaks highly of the area, that everyone respects it. Bruce, this year, obviously, the nation is celebrating our 250th. What does that mean to Evanston, and how do you all kind of pivot or enhance this great tradition that you all have to respect the significance of this moment for the country?
We cherish our country's heritage. We are celebrating the holiday this year by recognizing our Congresswoman, Jan Schakowsky. She's our Grand Marshal. Jan has served the constituents of the 9th Congressional District for 28 years. Remarkable, public service. This is a celebration that brings, all parts of the community together, all ethnic groups. We have a very, very diverse parade. It represents all the community, goodness that exists in Evanston. I'm very proud of what we sponsor for the day. We are, of course, anxious about weather. We keep seeing forecasts, some with rain, some without rain. Fortunately, in 105 years, there's probably only 2 years when we've seen any rain. So we look forward to a really super 250th birthday in Evanston.
Wow, only a few years where it's rained, and we certainly hope that this year you all will be able to have a rain-free event again. So many wonderful things that are happening there, and we certainly appreciate you sharing with us what you all are doing and the fun that is to be had by so many people. Do you know about how many people come out to the parade route?
We have thousands of people along the parade route. I'd say probably 25 to 30,000 people. It is definitely the major parade on the North Shore. We have, of course, celebrations in a number of other communities, but we think ours is probably one of the largest and the oldest celebration in the Chicago area.
Wow, that really is tremendous. Thank you so much for joining us today, and have a blast this weekend.
We will, thank you, and happy 4th to you and your listeners.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Take care. It's 3:28, and he was asking about the rain, and just as he did, there was a ding at the door, and so that is meteorologist J.D. Rudd. We're going to bring him in so that we can get some details about this forecast right after the break. Give us 2 minutes, and we'll be back. All right, welcome back. 3:30 right now. JD Rudd is in the house, and there's a lot of people looking at you like, come on, man, bring some good news.
Yeah, well, no snow, no wind chill. You don't have to wear coats.
Glass very half full.
These are all good things, right?
Just a few clouds in the sky.
Yeah, some clouds out there, a little bit of haze it almost looks like, just from the heat and the humidity. I mean, that's not changed for us, but it will. We will finally get rid of the heat and humidity in a couple of days.
Glass half full.
So we're going to get there. This is day number 4. Last I checked, we've already seen at least 93. I think we might have touched 94 briefly. That'll be our high for today, most likely. Still some time for things to warm up, so we'll see. The heat index right now, though, this is kind of the story, kind of hovering around 100 degrees. Yeah, again, as I've been saying all week long, if your body can tell the difference between 99 and 101 or 102, congratulations. It's all semantics, but most of us, triple-digit heat yet again. 4 straight days.
Man.
You over it yet?
Listen,
Anita was over it before it began.
Thank you. That's where I was going with it. I was trying to think of a nice way to say that. Correct.
Before it started, you were like, no, unsubscribe.
I'm a no.
That's going to be a no from me. So we'll get there. I mean, listen, we do things big in Chi-Town. We in the wintertime, you know how it goes around here, so why not in the summertime? We go, oh yeah,
there you go.
Well, look at us too. So that's kind of where we have been here with the heat and the humidity over the past 4 days straight in a row now. One thing I want to talk about is on the radar picture. You see clearly a lot of action going on to our north and northwest.
Yeah. JD.
Yes.
First thing this morning. Well, you know my first thing is not really first thing this morning, but for me,
yes.
First thing this morning, I look out and it got so dark.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, is that the rain that then all of a sudden...
Yep, went away.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was some leftover clouds because there was some stuff last night in southern Wisconsin we were keeping an eye on. Didn't quite make it through many of our backyards this morning, but it brought some cloud cover.
Yeah.
That's gone away, but now you see there's more activity developing. In the past about 15 minutes, that new big yellow box you see popping up right there, that's a severe thunderstorm watch for southern Wisconsin till 10 o'clock tonight. Does not include anything in Illinois. The expectation right now is the bulk of this stuff that's going to be stronger will stay north of the state line, but I think there are better chances tonight that we see something spill its way over into Illinois after about midnight, 1 a.m.
Okay.
Not thinking it's severe, but there could be some gusty wind, maybe some small hail in our northernmost counties. Those in like downtown Chicago, Joliet, Kankakee, over toward Gary, we may not see any of that at all. But those farther north, McHenry County, Illinois, Lake County, Illinois, those areas may get some spotty showers and storms late tonight into the wee hours of our Friday.
Well, our friends in Evanston are planning a big parade. And we just spoke with Bruce, and he said they've only had a couple of years in the history of their parade since 1921 where it's rained.
Wow. When is their parade set for?
Well,
is that tomorrow or is that going to be on Saturday?
It's going to be on Saturday.
Okay. So let's talk about that. Let's jump ahead and talk about what's coming our way up. I've got the proper thing queued up. Yes, here's tomorrow. Severe weather chance for our Friday. There's a level 2 risk. We'll likely get some strong to severe storms tomorrow. The timing for the strongest storms, roughly 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. That's for tomorrow, Friday. What about Saturday? Let's jump ahead. So here's kind of the rain chance timeline that I have. Tonight, as I mentioned, there's a window of opportunity there between 1 a.m. and about 5 a.m., mainly north for some rain, maybe some thunderstorms. Best shot tomorrow for anything in general is 2 to 7. Any kind of severe weather, 3 to about 8. And I left that 8 on there because that may be on the fringe of our viewing area as it moves its way out of here. Won't be for everybody, but somebody in that big yellow zone for tomorrow will likely get some strong to severe storms. Then, on Saturday, some rain early in the morning, roughly 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. there's a shot. And then again, rough window right now, 5 p.m. to about 9 p.m. And I'm being cautious by putting that 9 p.m. on there because most of the data I have seen is suggesting it's mainly out of here by 6, 7. It's quick. It's quick in, quick out.
Our friends in Evanston have a parade at 2 p.m. on Saturday.
So, if all this holds, they would keep that streak going. If they get that parade in at 2, they wrap it up before 5 o'clock. As it stands right now, hunky-dory. So, we'll see. We'll see.
Okay.
I know. And then the other thing, too, is holiday weekend. Most folks may have already taken today off. They probably have tomorrow off just because that's given to you since the 4th is on a Saturday. So they're thinking, okay, I want to do something Friday and Saturday. It's not going to be an all-day washout. I don't think, looking at the timing, if all this holds true, fireworks displays in general would be okay. Again, I know I'm hanging on to that 9 p.m. for Saturday night.
Well, offshore, Navy Pier, let me say that. Navy Pier, theirs are for 10 or 10:30.
So I'm optimistic they'll be okay. The only worry I would have for Saturday is based on the data that I continue to see. Areas south of I-80. That's where things may linger 9:30, 10 o'clock. So locales like Rensselaer, Kankakee, those areas, it might be tough 4th of July night, depending on how this shakes out for us. So I give you this to kind of soak it in, absorb it, marinate on it, because when you see the full 7-day forecast, it doesn't tell you those details. You just see rain all 3 days and go, wow, everything's shot. What do I do? No, but I want people to be prepared because, again, if you've taken off tomorrow for the holiday weekend, if you're going camping, if you're going somewhere, whatever it is you got going on, I don't want you to think, oh my gosh, my entire day is ruined. No, there's just a window. And also, it's the caveat that I put on all TV forecasts. Remember, we're broadcasting to a large audience. It is not going to rain all day long in those spots. There are many, many areas who will get through much of this weekend overall dry, but there will be times of rain and thunder, and I just hope it's not coming down at the absolute worst time in your specific backyard. That's my hope.
And then it looks like we get about 3 days before we start looking at it again
for another chance. That's about a week from now, so we'll see how that all plays out. But my eye kind of goes to the fact that after Friday, no more 90s in there.
That is true.
That's improvement.
Heat wave will
settles down.
Yeah.
And even Monday, that 80, it's possible we shave that down to 78, 79.
More in line with my, my preferred forecast.
I'm trying to do
somewhere around 75-ish,
Okay, thermostat weather. we'll get there.
No, look, my thermostat weather is a little different than that even. This is me giving to say
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, but no, that this gives us a little something to go off here. And I was bringing up, the end of your, obviously our attention most definitely right now is on that Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But I do start looking toward even the next weekend because, listen, this is prime time outside time for us here in Chicago. So yes, we have a million things going on for the 250th this weekend. But right after that comes Taste of Chicago, and we're getting ready to speak to our friends from the Chosen Few, and that's coming up on July 11th too. So plenty of things that are going to be happening each weekend right now. So the fact that we get the 3 days without any chance on it as of right now. During the week.
I know. We were doing so well for a while there. We were getting the rain during the work week.
And we were like, weekend,
dry,
come on,
And now that pattern has shifted. The thing that I always talk about, too, this time of year in this part of the country, for anybody who has visited, lived in, vacationed in Florida, this time of year especially, Florida has daily chances of thunderstorms.
That is true.
And if you just took a quick glance at their 7-day forecast, you would think your entire trip is washed out. But you go there, you spend some time, most of the day, it is completely dry.
It's like every day at 5.
Bingo. It's that heat of the day, those storms pop up, boom, they do their thing, they're gone by evening, and the rest of your night, you're fine. You're like, oh, that wasn't so bad. This is kind of that same idea where I know you see a lot of those icons on there and you go, oh, what are you doing to me? Just think of this like Florida north. That's all. Florida way north. You got heat,
way
you got humidity, you got a body of water nearby. If you squinted just enough or took off your glasses, you might think, maybe I am down there on the Gold Coast somewhere. Treasure Coast in Florida.
Big difference, but some similarities as well.
Yes, my overarching point is it's not one of those things where from sun up to sundown it's just going to pour rain every single one of these days. It's just some select times in some select areas we will get rain, we will get thunder. Now I do want to say when we get that, it may be coming down in buckets at times. It's not going to be a gentle sprinkle and move on. This might be a deluge for about 10-15 minutes where you're like, well, now what? And then it goes away and hopefully things are good.
Okay, everybody. At least we have the information to move
It's not
forward.
going to snow.
You know?
There's no wind chill. I stick by these points. That's the only thing I can hang my hat on. I'm trying.
Thank you so much for letting us know what's going on at the very sincerely, the fact that the temperatures are going to lessen up some. I mean, this has been a tough week for a lot of people.
This has been hard.
We talked about impacts from the grid, the power grid, because it's just been stifling all
it's
week.
Overwhelming. I mean, overwhelming from a physical standpoint, overwhelming from the energy standpoint. This has been a challenge for a lot of areas.
Yeah, I got an alert from ComEd even since I've been up here about the hours when it would really help if you would just unplug some things or turn some lights off or whatever. I mean, it's been a strain on the grid.
Yeah, when it's hottest, please don't run anything.
Here's what you can do to help us.
It's hard
help
to
you.
do. It's a tough balancing act.
Yeah.
We'll get through.
All right. Thank you so much for coming up. We appreciate it. We'll see JD coming up on the 4 o'clock newscast. Give us 2 minutes, everybody, and we'll have our next discussion with a few chosen from the chosen few.
Well done.
Okay, welcome back, everyone. Just about 3:45 right now. You know where we're headed in terms of our final conversation of the day. But while we wait for our last guest to join us here so that we can talk about the Chosen Few DJs and picnic that's coming up here, the picnic and festival that's coming up here shortly next weekend, let's go over a couple more things that are trending on our website because we're also getting closer to the 4 o'clock news here. And so as we're looking at the website and kind of looking at some of the stories that are populating, I've got to give you an update on the story that's really gripped many of us in the news industry this week here in the city, who always try to go about our jobs ethically and with respect to the individuals that we are encountering on a daily basis. But a crew from CBS 2 this week was attacked out doing their job at the outside of the Adler Planetarium, of all places. And 3 men have now been charged after threatening this crew that was out there. And what a scary time. I mean, what a scary moment for these folks who were just trying to do their job. One suspect is facing a felony hate crime charge. His name is John Twist. Police said that he yelled racial slurs, ordered a dog to attack a crew member. Suspect damaged the victim's property. If you look online, you will see that their news vehicle, the windshield was smashed in. Just a horrible situation. These three were arrested after a police pursuit that took place. They got to a Brighton Park neighborhood, and thank goodness that they are in custody at this point. All three are scheduled for detention hearings today, so we should be getting more information. We do have their names and faces on our website here, and you can see all of that and learn more about it, again, at fox32chicago.com. But let's try to end on a brighter note for this newscast, okay? We have been talking about the weather, and you heard me talk to J.D. Rudd about, hey, yeah, we got a lot of stuff going on this weekend, but I'm starting to see through in the 7-day, you can start to see through to the next weekend. And the next weekend, we know, is the Chosen Few Picnic and Festival for 2026, a big family reunion that happens each year that brings people from near and far for a soulful celebration. And we have Kevin McFall, who is joining us today to tell us more about what is to come. Thank you so much for being here.
Hello. How are you?
Doing well. Great to see you. And how excited are you about next weekend?
I am thankful for the opportunity to talk about this amazing weekend that so many of us Chicagoans look forward to every summer. July 11th from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., the Chosen Few annual picnic.
36 years strong. How do you keep it going?
It is a labor of love, let me tell you, that the team from founder Wayne Williams to Alan King and Tony Hatchett and Andre and Mike and Terry and Kim have been losing sleep, but working diligently to provide an experience that reflects that 36-year tradition. And the reunion vibe that occurs every year will be the same, if not greater, this year.
Mm-hmm. I just love seeing the genuine joy on everyone's faces out there, and this element of music that brings people together, but just the genuine joy of everyone. So many people, but all in good spirits.
They are. It's a joyous occasion all day. It doesn't hurt that you get to bring your own, refreshments, food and drink. And as I mentioned, reunite under the beautiful skies of Chicago, near the lakefront in Jackson Park, and with the incredible house music sounds in the backdrop.
And house music is, just a part of the Chicago experience. Talk about the legacy of house music here.
Well, as we say, Chicago is the home of house music, which means that we have the pioneers, the trailblazers, all from various parts of Chicago, the South Side, the North Side, the West Side. They've all lent their creativity, time, talent, and passion for this music and lifestyle to root Chicago as the home of house. But it's amazingly become a global phenomenon. It's a global business. It is a experience. As we say, house is a feeling that is felt now around the world, but centrally it comes together on the second Saturday in July every year.
So how do we give us some pro tips here? I mean, if someone is going for the first time, what would you suggest in terms of planning for the Chosen Few? Oh no, we lost his signal, and I was trying to get you the details that you needed. Hopefully we can get him back here. But to give you some of the need to know things without the pro tips, because I'm not a pro, but I've enjoyed it. Attendees can do general admission, the VIP experiences, or even reserve tent spaces so that you can tailor your own day. As he was saying, bring your own refreshments or food, things of that nature. They do have like food trucks that are set up out there, but they say it's so much more than a concert, and I would vouch for that. It's more than a concert. It is an experience, a celebration of community and culture, and again, just bringing you back to why house music has become what it has become, that's rooted so much here in Chicago as the home for house music. They actually call, and I wanted to get his take on this, some people have dubbed the Chosen Few Picnic and Festival as the Woodstock of house music. So if that kind of gives you a picture in your mind as to what the experience is like, the Woodstock of house music. So just a rich cultural experience that so many people take in, and there's plenty of opportunities in terms of tickets that you can get to make it what you want it to be, and hopefully the weather will hold out for it all. Again, it's going to be Saturday, July 11th at Chicago's Jackson Park. Always so full of people, and just a good time. So great to speak with Kevin for a few moments. Kevin McFall with the Chosen Few Picnic and Festival. Sorry that we lost his signal there, but we're going to take a quick break, and maybe we'll take a look at the stock market before we head out of here for the day. All right, welcome back, everyone. Just a few more minutes here together before we turn you over to the 4 o'clock news, and we're going to take a look at the stock market for the day. Why not when it finishes like this, going into a holiday weekend? Now, the overall picture is a little mixed, but this is a beautiful picture on our screen, kind of peeling back the layers here. The Dow Jones Industrial Average scaled to record highs. This is what you're seeing today. It seems like investors are reacting to a weaker than expected non-farm payrolls report for June. Now, again, overall picture, looking at a little more context here, the NASDAQ composite actually struggled today as a result, it seems, of semiconductors. We've talked a lot about semiconductors lately, and that aspect of the struggle, really, falling for a second day in a row here. And looking at the jobs report for the June jobs report, it showed an increase of 57,000 last month. Now that is below the 115,000 jobs that economists polled by the Dow Jones expected. But the unemployment rate dropped to 4.2%. And economists had forecast it being around 4.3%. So again, a mixed picture here. We're getting some comments from our new Fed chair, Kevin Warsh. He says, as we are learning how the Fed reaction function will form under, or this is one of the investors talking about Kevin Warsh. He says, as we are learning how the Fed reaction function will form under Fed chair Kevin Warsh, this print takes some of the pressure off of the inflation fighting institution to hike near term. That said, Warsh commented at his presser that jobs data only becomes meaningful after the third revision, and by then becomes echoes of history. With oil price inflation moderating, some softness on the jobs front likely keep the Feds on hold, at least for the next meeting. You know, we just recently heard and saw Kevin Warsh in a press conference for the first time as the new Fed chair, coming off of Jerome Powell and the issues that especially plagued the end of his term. And even this past week, there was a major Supreme Court decision that involved one of the Fed governors, Lisa Cook. It gave more authority to President Trump in allowing him to be able to fire many of the leads of different agencies in Washington, D.C., except it protected the Fed governor, Lisa Cook. So it was kind of that even was a mixed picture there in terms of the decision. But going back to the Fed and the next meeting now, it looks like possibly they say the oil price inflation moderating here, some softness on the jobs front, likely keeps the Fed on hold for the next meeting. So we'll see. We'll see where things go from here. But again, nice to see at least the Dow Jones ending the week like this, going into a long holiday weekend for many. We'll see what next week holds. But thank you so much for being here with us. We certainly appreciate it always. We're always on here from 1 to 4 p.m. in the afternoons. And we hope, I won't be here tomorrow, so I'm going to say it now. We certainly hope that you will have a wonderful, safe holiday weekend, everyone. That safe part is just super important, whether it's the weather or whether it's just being more cognizant, making sure that you are aware of your surroundings. And if you see something, say something, help us all so that we can celebrate again. Bye.